Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Alexis, and today we are kicking off a brand new type of content that we call Ask a Trans Woman. So today's video is going to be the first in our weekly series where I take your questions and answer them. It doesn't matter what it is, we'll try to keep it on topic, but I'm at the mercy of what you guys submit, and I got some questions both in the comments of the video announcing this and on Twitter. But moving forward, if you could please put your comments or your questions for next week's episode in the comments of this video down below. I'd really appreciate that. So I've got my assistant slash lovely wife here off camera to read me the questions, and I don't know which one I'm going to get first. I thought we'd have a little fun with it. So, Lindsay, take it away.
Okay. What about you brings you the most joy?
I saw this one on Twitter today and I was like, oh, that's a curveball. What about me brings me the most joy? And that is because I try not to be that sort of like self-centered, conceited person. I try very hard anyway. I have to say it's, for me, it's my ability to be confident despite the fact that I am not perfect. I'm not super passable most days. My voice is a dead giveaway. I do my best, and I just don't take shit from people. So I've gotten dirty looks when we walk around the parks at Disney. I did get confronted once in a bathroom. Not at Disney, but at Legoland. That was fun. And yeah, it's just, I've never backed down from those kinds of situations. I'm not afraid to deal with people. And I know for a lot of people it's terrifying. But in the moment, I'm pretty confident in my ability to just not take shit. And that brings me a lot of joy because I know how hard it is to just go through every day, and to be able to hold on to that and know, like, oh, when that particular situation comes up, I've got it. I don't have to worry about that.
Where are some good places to shop for clothes? Where can you buy shoes for bigger feet?
Good places to shop, and where can you buy shoes for bigger feet? One of those I have a great answer for. The other is kind of and it's because I don't have big feet. I'm a size 9 in men's, so that's like an 8 in women's, I think, something around there. I don't have big feet, sorry. But everything I've heard from other people is basically Amazon or somewhere online. Most places in stores, they have the same styles, just in bigger sizes that they normally don't carry. You can find them on that store's website or that brand's website. So like if you're looking for tennis shoes, like Nike, Adidas, that sort of thing. I've also personally found, because we live here in Orlando, which we have a ton of outlet stores and stuff like that, outlets are usually a great place because they do tend to stock the larger stuff because they're getting a much wider variety of things. The problem with that is they may not have very many, so you kind of have to hope you get there when the stock drops. But as the larger question, great places to shop. It may seem weird, and we're going to do a whole series of videos on this. It's something we've got planned. Walmart. Most of the clothes I wear actually come from Walmart. Because Walmart has actually really upped their style game lately. Like this shirt comes from Walmart, but this is a basic tank top that I got for like $3 that I wear to work. It's meant to be, almost throwaway. And they do have a lot of stuff like that, but I get plenty of my like cute little themed t-shirts from Walmart. But I've also gotten some really nice dresses, some of which are $15 or less, but Walmart has actually also started to partner with larger brands or better known fashion brands to bring almost like a Walmart version of those brands to their stores. Most recently, the dress that I picked up is a BCBG, which you normally find in department stores, but this is like the Walmart version of it. It was, I believe, $40 or $45. I wore it to Disney the other day as like a casual Cinderella dress, and I was getting compliments all day long. And I'm just like, it's a Walmart dress, like it doesn't have to be super expensive. So Target is another great place to go because similar vein, Target does a lot of like short run collections, sometimes even partnering with designers that you can get great pieces for a lower cost, although Target is a bit more expensive than Walmart just on the average. But you can get a lot of really great stuff there too.
Why do you place your hand on your shoulder in all of your selfies?
Why do I do this? Actually, I gotta do it right. It's because I'm always holding with this hand. So I do this, and it started at the very beginning of my transition. And it's actually my wife's fault, Lindsay. Um, Lindsay always does the same pose when she takes a selfie. And so when I started taking a lot of selfies, I was like, well, I need a pose. And I can't just do Lindsay's like standard pose. I need my own. I need my own signature look. And I tried out a few before I actually took any, like, posted any photos. The one that we both felt was the best was just this, hand on the shoulder. It just looks cute. It was a weird choice, but it really worked, and people really seemed to respond to it, so I just kept going with it. And now it just feels wrong to change it, because I've tried to, like, change up the angle a few times, and I've noticed I don't get as many likes. People are like, oh, what's wrong? Like, it just doesn't always work. Usually if you see me doing a different pose, it's because Lindsay's taking the photo, and so I'm not having to worry about the camera, and then I can do a little.
What was the first noticeable change you saw during HRT?
That's an excellent question. So the first noticeable change I saw with HRT was my face. I just recently lost a bunch of weight, and it's interesting that this is coming up because I'm now 14 months into HRT, which means I'm starting to get Facebook memories from when I started the early times of transition. And the biggest thing that we noticed and people were commenting on was how my face was already starting to change. So the biggest change initially was right here on my cheekbones. It was just, they were getting a little fuller, but and it was strange because I was losing weight at the time. I had lost, right before transition, I had lost almost 30 pounds, going on 40. And so my face was already changing a lot. And so once I started to transition, especially the first couple of months, my doctor had actually told me to stop losing weight because it was going to mess up the idea of the fat redistribution that happens with HRT, because your body doesn't like just move around the fat that's already there, but any weight that you gain, it will get distributed to your chest and to your hips, and it'll start to change your shape. That takes a while, so I had to worry about like, okay, eat a little bit more, change my diet a little bit, and the first place that I started to see a bit more of a softening and a feminization was right here on my cheekbones, and a little bit more as like my face started to get a little bit fuller and not quite as like sucked in.
When you transitioned, how did it go with your kids? What kinds of things did you go through with them?
What kind of things did I go through with my kids, and how did it go when I initially transitioned? I will be perfectly honest, it was rough. Most surprisingly, the of our three kids, I have my biological daughter, who you've seen in the mall shopping video, and we have Lindsay had two kids prior to our marriage that both adjusted differently. I expected Lindsay's oldest daughter to have the most hard time, and that was largely because, especially at the time, she spent a lot of time at like church camps and stuff like that, and I was just expecting her to have picked up less trans friendly ideas. But she was surprisingly the fastest to adjust. Lindsay's youngest daughter, she is special needs, and so she just took a long time to just understand what was going on. But I'd say about 2 weeks in, she was already using the correct pronouns. Um, where it was actually kind of really funny is for the first few months of my transition, I wore a wig, like a lot of early transitioning trans women do. And our littlest one was terrified of the wig, like so much so that she wouldn't even go into the closet when it was like stored. She just was like, no, I'm not going in there. It's like it, like if we would just take it off the, like take the mannequin head down and show it to her, she'd run away and cry. So that was an adjustment, and it was one of the things that helped push me towards not wearing the wig anymore. And I just decided to just go with my normal hair, which I'd of course basically shaved my head. So it was like maybe I shouldn't have done that, but I'm fairly happy with where things are at now as it's growing out. So whereas my biological daughter, it took her a long time to adjust, but mostly because she's known me for going on 11 years now. So at the time, it had been about 9.5 years of her life, and she was just adjusting to the idea that her dad was different. And she didn't dislike it. She was very supportive of the concept, but she wasn't quite ready to see me fully as a woman. And so we had to slow roll my feminine presentation with her carefully over time, and it was guided. We allowed her to guide it. She would tell us when she was okay with a particular thing, whether that was seeing me in more feminine clothes or in a dress, that sort of thing, even seeing me in the wig. All of that, it took a while, and we did it in steps. But once she said, okay, I'm ready, we went, I got dressed up. I think we went to Disney that day. We had a wonderful time. And once she saw it, it was like, oh, that's not nearly the thing that I thought it was going to be. And she never really articulated what she thought it was going to be or why she thought it was going to be scary. She struggles with things that are different in general. She doesn't like change, like a lot of kids. So she just took a while to adjust, but now she is hands down my biggest supporter. Like honestly, even more so than Lindsay. She absolutely loves the idea because she looks a lot like me. So her thought was, like my dad and I look a lot alike now. And she really likes that. And I really like it too, because I can like see how she's developing and how like her feminine features as they change. It's almost like a window into where I may be heading. Obviously, it's going to be slightly different, but it gives me a much better idea of what I may look like moving forward as my hair gets longer, that sort of thing. And really beyond that, it's just with kids in general, because the way this question was posed initially on Twitter, it was almost more of like advice for, early transitioning parents, is just let your kids run the show. It's difficult, but you will get a lot less pushback if you just kind of let them guide, because it's all about their comfort. Because if you try to force them into things, they'll push back harder than they ever would have otherwise. And that's why I'm still called dad or daddy by my kids, because that's what I was prior to transition, and that's what they were most comfortable with. And I really wanted to make sure that they stayed comfortable, and it's something we still talk about. We check in with the girls every once in a while, and it's like, how are you feeling about things? Do you have any questions now that it's been a few months? Things have maybe changed. I look a little bit different. How does that make you feel? And we check in regularly, and they do a great job with it. At this point, they don't see me as anything other than effectively second mom, but we stick with the original terminology of dad or daddy.
What has been your biggest challenge and how are you overcoming it? Well,
So what has been my biggest challenge and how am I overcoming it? I'm gonna kind of take the easy way out and say that my biggest challenge has nothing to do with my transition. So let's focus just on my transition. My biggest challenge with my transition is accepting myself. And it's something that I think every trans person goes through. That's what dysphoria is this idea of this, what we see and reality don't necessarily mix. Um, and it's hard because dysphoria is a nightmare. Even right now, I know what the camera and what you, the viewer, can see as far as like my facial hair is concerned is minimal at best. Like there's probably hardly anything that you would notice on camera. But if I look in the mirror, all I see is beard shadow. And it's a constant struggle. Even as I'm now heading towards my sixth session of laser hair removal, things have gotten a lot better, but it's not perfect. And I probably won't be fully comfortable with it until I have another at least 6 sessions, which is, its own problem, as it were, because, it's expensive. And that's not even factoring in things like electrolysis. It hurts as well. So, it's just adjusting and accepting, like, I'm changing and it's going to get better. I'm not where I want to be is probably 2-3 years down the road. And accepting that is really, really hard. I want my chest to grow at a much, I don't want to get, huge or anything, but I just want to be nice and proportionate, and I'm not necessarily there without a little bit of extra help, if you know what I mean. My hair, it's why I started wearing a wig, because I had really short hair I was basically balding at 36. So I needed, something to make me feel a little bit more feminine. So one of with my hair, it's really just been a struggle. The hardest thing, I still go into Face App and like change the filter so I have longer hair to be like, that's where I'm going. But interestingly enough, actually, we were just watching a television show last night, the Halo series, and the character of McKee has a slightly longer version of my current haircut, obviously minus the headband. And I realized I really like that style. As I'm starting to grow my hair out more, because originally I was going with long on the top with a just full shave undercut underneath, and so as a result, this side hair is a lot shorter. But I really am starting to embrace this look. The headbands have helped a lot. Separate video on that coming soon. So it's gone fairly well, especially since I've started to let this grow out, but it's definitely been a struggle. And that's probably the biggest challenge I've faced, is just accepting myself and dealing with daily dysphoria.
When you transitioned, how did it go with your wife? And what kinds of things did you go through with her?
Okay, well, I know she asked this question because I asked her to come up with a few surprises for me. The question, of course, is when I transitioned, how did things go with my wife? And what sort of challenges did we face? Some of them I will not talk about until she says it's okay, because they're intimate, if you catch my drift. But beyond that, what I noticed from her, and I'm not trying to speak for her, this is just my interpretation of what we were experiencing. She had a hard time, and I think still does, letting go of the old me. She still cries when she sees pictures of me pre-transition. And I'll be honest, it hurts. Because, we use the term, in the trans community, we use the term dead name a lot. Ella has decided she needs to be on camera. Anyway, where was I? So, Lindsay's had a hard time letting go of the old me. And in the trans community, we use the term dead name a lot, to refer to like our old name. I'm not a big fan of that term. I tend to use the term old name just instead, because I'm not dead. I never died. We kind of refer to, a lot of people in the community refer to as like that person is dead and gone, but really I'm the same person. I just look better and feel more myself. So it upsets me at times when she gets really emotional, because it's like that person didn't go away, or if anything, like the parts of that person that did go away, the parts that, the constant depression and anxiety and the, just crippling sadness, those went away. And so if anything, that should be celebrated. But I can understand how, like, seeing our wedding photos and stuff like that can be a little bit upsetting. And that's actually why we've done things like taking new photos, and hopefully in the next couple of years we're actually going to do like a vow renewal ceremony. Basically have our like true like big wedding where we're going to be able to invite a bunch of people, because we want to be able to do that, but we want to make sure that I'm fully comfortable first. So we're working on that. And, every day is different. Every day brings a new surprise. And, we roll with it. And that's what's great about our relationship, is we have a rule that if something is bothering you, you have to talk about it. You can't bottle it up, because I've been in a marriage like that, and it eats you alive. So that's helped a lot, is we just constantly communicate, and as a result we don't let things simmer and fester and become a much bigger problem. We deal with it head on, and that's really helped us get through. All right, so that's it for this week's edition. If you have questions for me, and they can be about just about anything, whether that's being trans, parts of my transition, laser hair removal, or just stuff like my job. I build Lego for a living. It's pretty cool. Happy to answer questions about it. Why the dogs are growling and barking right now when I'm trying to film a video. Hey, that's life with a puppy. So happy to answer just about any question. Pretty much the only thing that's off topic right now is my sex life, because that's not for YouTube. Sorry. That's a different kind of content creation. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. And if you really want to see more of this content, consider subscribing. It would really, really help us out. So again, if you have questions, leave them in the comments of this video. So please do that. I'll also obviously post it on social media, and we will pull the questions from there. But it really helps us if you comment on the video itself. So again, thank you. And as always, have courage and be kind, especially to yourself.